They told you my dear Sunni, one say hi, Badwam on Adom TV, multi TV. So, quick reminders, Honorable Sidu, yes, make out say, Yenkoja Honorable Sidu, na Uncle Tai, on one Casanofa, Akwesi Diaso, Uncle Tai, Ebra, a year Akwesi Diaso, ne papa, or more observe, a 1 week dano. Unya 122 years. Wow. Nana Kwame Japan the second. The donor friend John Inketia Apeko. Inti na what we done because so akesu school honum and akesu school mo na bekoso 3rd of August. August dey toso miensa 2024. Era Akwesi Japan. Donor friend wo fa Akwesi Diaso. Ono CEO Aquadiaso Company Limited. Ne papa and that from the now what we done 3rd of August. Mama yensheno so na yenkotai na chi ukwaso. Now we yaba back and so Spanish garlic mixture and capsules so one other remark. And this uncommon we a bro. One edge was a DBA to say menstrual disorders. Oh, me out to me say nani paper baby video on offer. Ada afi wapon waposo yo ya afi hypertension and afi cholesterol ojonso sa biribia brite obia na ojonso brite obia na ojonso udwara na afi honam so kekawa Spanish garlic ni be efi precopedia man Spanish ginkgo capsules nso no eboa ma modia etmedia frusani ye oni pedwere na afi ama eye sa tumi ni ahode na botim dia kakai enioma na afi wakoma ho so aye ho adwuma yi afi de bia da na wa abofra nti no Spanish ginkgo capsules CB Fre 0266114111 0266114111 na watimi ni edinkita uko eye Hallows Herbal Okaishi Drug Lane Tinated Herbal Repash Herbal Widema Herbal Ashaman Ekus Pharmacy House of Drugs Jukat Pharmacy Wakaso Dependable Herbal ewo Madina Nolinko Herbal Hohoi and Abesam Pharmacy Ho and Afi Herbal and a pharmacy shops around you. So na kohodum. Kofi, quick reminders. When I'm my next week Friday, Jumedia Afi ye kon 3rd edition sectorial debate in Kontabufi Ebebaso. And this time round is education addition into what the NDC what they intend to do, the Ghana for tomorrow, additional dombe. And what the MPP is doing now or has done now, and what they intend to do when they break the 8 into next week Friday, Accra Digital Center. A free anopa nonson ekopem nondu aboapem pepepeno and this ankomo we edebro. Last week it was on health. Professor Bayu Ebekasai Sansona a Dr. Insia Asai, seasoned personalities in the medical field. Omo ede obiad neniswa de hunu ene de onya kwanya so obesai bi ma be edbetuja. Same expectation and Airbus my next week Friday Accra Digital Center. We are talking education. We started with energy. We followed it up with health. Now, 3rd edition, we have education. Very, very important. Very, very, very important. Next week, it's just an exercise. When it's about taking decision, you know the right decisions to take because the only team and so it's very, very important to watch and listen to a sectorial debate in Kuntabu Fi every Friday, 2 weeks interval. Na the Ebro Adom TV. So very, very important. Many if you're Manquata Maclona, if you're Quesinsia, and my good self into Shannon so unyu in film. Well, Kofi quickly wait Mama just last week on health, Dr. Bayu and Professor Bayu and Dr. Nsiasai. Then I come back to studio. Lawyer Chum Berima Bemaye, a full legal explanation of what has transpired or a court of appeal actually. Inti nyabutre ɔka no nyinaa wie a na afei wo a wodi n'akyi no nso akwanya ba na ebie kwan ato na opese obusa no ko sambia na obusa ansa na finally e komula ba ya be land on whether the intervention by this government or the FD emma mensing crutch no ebetima ma ye potem ni enkrase akwan ne bi ho no ma ho atime hia na is the intervention really necessary at this point in time? Okay, yenti Dr. Nsensa and Mrazia.
O fa pesca ma se fesi dan oba da no awansi afi wi wie no be si da no awse da no kora ne nyina ya media ti enkoso ti Eurojet no eto na ye 9 states out of fully 1310 Itiga East first one wie eye August 2019 160 bed e wo wa aban we na buy no be complete ye nti wo be kaya yewura president Kufuado air commission no o see you sa project afa aban mako enan mu e kire se Ghana ha no yeti amamu ase ti yewura president Kufuado efa late professor Atamelso efa yewura Mahama so ena wono abaye president no abie ena November 2019 yebie guys e kwabenya ena de won sokote no so yebie no November 2021 next slide please tepa and so October 2021 chufu praso November 2021 ena kono ngodumase June 2022 next slide please Salaga still not completed near 68% oko Sewia is completed ye light they call rules no make us ye be commission Sewia within the next few weeks and at the military hospital so by this year so by I'm sure I check Rabe October be commission Sewia so into here ni nyina no they are claiming say ni nyina ye omo dia but the MPJ say sa hospitals ni nyina no during the 8 years of NDC na one bed the currency baby me boa na obi anya adwuma any of them oko or see CNC hospital bia these are hospitals which are start here yet completing for example
oba the human resource situation as I was talking about the doctors and all of that nurses and so be but then NIC ewo abanwe mu ema nurses no so be bre echo fine apart from the general conditions na enye no oba training na omo in fact MPP abaima wade ene wonsa lefter and a righter she say left no no mo de beji because omo ka say nursing training allowance omo restore omo etua ye boyensa ma then at the back and omo pay admission to the nursing school so what's your letters and I'll show you some of the letters so some of the training institutions say won't me admit more than a certain number. Some of them were taking 50%, 70% off the total number on me admitting. That meant that the total number of trainees and people coming out now is going down. So we have a situation at ABECO and we are training less. Then what happens? Allowances no swa and to me ambe.
Professor Bayu and Dr. Insiasari last week Friday, Accra Digital Center sectorial debate in Kuntebufi and Omudi in Semnegorum. My next week Friday, education, and that on the part of the NDC, Omo candidate about that Iraq, Nimna for Clement Apak, in the training, say MPP for so Bemenya, the almost day, but then we roll it out there in Amiadma. Next week Friday, but studios are there. Lawyer Chum, very much, and Atnasi. What lawyer, which normally he does, when it's about legal opinion, any legal issues, and so the Mrana Kasa to her at the Maui. Now, if you know, Aso a manual semi, a year Mrana. And outside what the legal framework nankasa ebeka. But we are the politics and the pluses and the minuses, you know. And then the street court of public opinion so the will situate to, but we need to understand the issues and so jump into certain conclusions. Well, Kwaba.
Oh, I'm just somewhere.
Nyamia don't be
nice one. Yes, a debate so far. 2 in America and NDC Edica winning. My ad.
Oh, Okasa, a coin bisuno. Apart from the maiden edition, yenya rep a war a year MP.
Energy, the energy there, Obi and Timmy Monsa. My energy sector and then this government.
Maybe interest our mansion.
Obi, I'm just a man. I'm married with Matana hopping. I remember Nipa, son, or sumo self, you know, with everybody. I mean, inch, yeah, miss a woman say. But that's a say, out me who say, the Mitchell say, what can I say? Dear. Metimi aka say yantie de MPP for wo na ma wo bi ka ro abeka woni bi nkan tire wa ma meka
enti emi enko back
but wa ma meka some frɛ no
meji tum say
mo frɛ wo
ye frɛ wo
ano ma ma
enti meji tum
say bi bia ni wonti
going by what
bi ha akɔmba
Thomas going by what for energy sector no ni so
adutwam obi ani wo obi antwam obi adimi ntwa
unprecedented ye careful in this country
I didn't know
obi ko ka unprecedented any hususu
wouldn't my dear a day rural education by my ukrum. Wunya can you?
Okay, me also. Enko ye a health. Nti yaba law. Marchi bill.
Alright, Joseph.
There na kusi your court and the travel for you na che.
Oh. The thing ni tete am nyina say jedi kan chat here for and ahwefo. When Musa America Cremoni na aban kwadwo for ya kan sa na episode ye nua Godfrey Dame a wona ya ban lawyer na se Ghana nyina lawyer no na wonu so gina eboko adimo man no nti se obi fom man mra na so obi susi so obi afom man mra na se eboko adu attorney general na tumi no constitutional power na wona nsam se ona betua eboko adu enti ode honorable Ato Forson nipa miensa na case Ato Forson and then Sylvester is it Animana or something, one chance be a mamundini ya, and then Richard Japa. Simba me and send no domina court, a bomb court, you say, Oma from Mamra, was the titri partners was more cause financial loss to the state. That is, one more, I'm a mine actually sick be and Zeko mine to the tune of about 2.something million euros. And now, 2.370 million euros. And nitete mo no na say o man no ntwoma so na say court ntwoma so e was ade no nti no back and front do say na high court na in criminal prosecutions mo no say ye boko adu a ebra ye boko adu na asitra ne say wo no a ye do akonya court say why body no kabana at that moment no wo de wonya mfuso bia wo obi na be ka boni a waya ti asem ni obi na be ka boni a waya kire Ghana na say kire court no na nipa ne kan nsem no wi a ansa na se wo anu ye bia wo so ba ba den abi nti bra nipa ne bo no kwadu de wo nka bi wo ye de tie no na wo tie no wi a na wo wi no in some jurisdictions ye wo kwan nya miensa a ha de mostly is two baby one mu a for instance in Nigeria there's something that you call relying on the prosecution's case to be na ka say well the okan no you rely on them nti no unko open defense bia. So, and now say you can say so. You are entering no case submission. The no case submission episode say upon the court. That na account court ni nyina na say court before na board court ni nyina no. Wontimi nail you to the wall.
On can same be mu. Who be kwa say.
Hu ya say wo ba ya no. Sa na wo na ye board court no ka. Nti no court ni e de ho anu yi ba. And I say really now be ka say me no ya dwen and I say me no ya dwen. Se court ni release on no ya dwen a wunni asem bia no you be acquitted and discharged say the SC
the enoma mienu but to what man enoma mienu dey di kan say na me ka enoma mienu dey di kan say me kwabna santi na mabowo ko edu say why ABCD
yes
nti me ma said yes say
we dey dance me bia ba be kire sam possible na maye
say me dey dance ne ba na court na hwe say ana wo hwe say dey me dance am dey aba no edi bibia ni mu a e kire se ewunya kwase bi wa no
ma me ma case bi there was a case bi na me work court ho bi need on Nigeria na yesi ni obi akun bi kwabna ade a wodi kun ni pan ko adibofo na mfa ma court
so okun obi
so okun obi
edidi na odi kun no
ade na ni kun so kun wa nchim ne kon ana obu ne ko mu ya de bibi ne kun ni pan but second of the day we no ma court. You see, criminal prosecutions are technicalities. It's any loophole you better be obitimbo wura ho epie. And way oba enter no case for you.
The work be me
and that's was my bonne na me di was me kuni pa me so me tie won fa bia metra sam pase and sam pase me dade we de kun no nipa no so se twa no ye twa no so adanse bia ni ya bibia ni ya twa se ye twa no na dey na de me twa no so what I say enti wona wo kan wasem nyento wo kan wasem no sa na wie no then it is left to him so na make sense because okay e bia wutim emmom duam ba no do kan sa na by entering no case na kasa court no dia no yie ba
you can no case you say court no dia no yie ba
the court will rule on that say
ayampa
ana ayampa say yampa say there is no case you go free
ayampa dia eto
ayampa dia then you will be asked to open your defense.
Nti biribia de catch obi open defense
na say you cross the level no
ye de tools no ampa ye nkoni dia
bi wo ho bia ye pese oyi ano nti ba na be yi ano enti anum no ana high court ruling ye on them and high court ruling said there is a case for them to answer tieni yo but oka sa wie no ana nkrofo no so say da bi still na ye de to mo say Ato Forson ni japa because na at some point no Ushemu I was say Sylvester ananima no so na say anima now or something me fa ya mo fa ncha be ndini ma money ya I don't know am say me nim baby of me ndini family with me he has been discharged already into Usha kwa papi no mko na no nka just 1 and 3 no which is Ato and then Richard Sylvester nka so these two no 1 and 3 they say we still believe that there is something that you shouldn't have called us to answer. Because Ato Forson case in back on say he didn't get authorization to sign the LC. Letters of credit no sign ye no. He didn't get authorization. E bia mo ye bon ye de nua ne kon say say letter no ko sign ye no letter a year a form of payment
which is not
what them about making can when judgment and the make can be at no what enti and Japan so why a third party to the case. The agreement is between Ministry of Health and Big C.
The Ministry of Health omo ga ko ni
omo ga ya omo go go
the Ministry of Health also ba
ayo nti de oya na say wode omo ya dance for ma na sem no mum but wan ko si obi a ho say minister we whether the past minister the past health for no onam babin was one time health minister Sectorial was one time health minister senior Alesegbe fianso exactly on come bo
na me krom ni
wan boy
me krom ni office finance me krom ni health minister
Ajimamenu. Oh, the person me both them can ya some prosecution here time na dey no. And I think honorable Badwam Mpensenpensenmu former regional minister of Central region and so be a health minister at some point so be ya under president Mahama.
It was brief.
It was brief be yeah. Enti sa afu mu bi enu aye bo no kwadu.
Sa ankofo bi enu.
No. Won bi enu aye bo no kwadu. Nipa aye bo no kwadu ni Ato Forson was sign letters of credit.
But it's about the health ministry.
Good. And then Japan was your agent to Jefanko company.
Now, ultimately, free some ministry.
Ayo. And some of you can actually be new. It is something in you. And you are so later out, you know, a form of payment. And Jamaya Boka 2.something million, so the country earlier 2.3 million euros as a BB.
Yeah,
2.370 million euros. And no, Yabos I can. And Japan said that the original court yet to man. It won't come as we know that the NT and once and I've those court to see a defense. You may be a defense, but we still appeal against that decision. So they went to the court of appeal to appeal against the decision. They say, "Yam difference, one common summon, one high court in Yabinster." Even though you did someone, but can be my. I know McCoy. To be honest with you, Badwam Mpensenpensenmu because now as I take it out, I can say once and Matty and run look about and if I'm a
yeah,
and I wore Adom FM so I'm not make a sample of the BBT and I didn't pay attention because I'm warming we Namentum was and radio. So truly omba me wie ya ono be kasa nti me nya adaje hwe de no de kire me na de say eye ruling ya ye kan wasemi na yete ho na aba nti na all prompt me eti kwama ne kwakwa nyina no say court na kasa say that no case submission na wo entire no wo ne wo ya agree say there is no case for them to answer.
That's court of appeal.
That's the court of appeal. And for that reason they should be acquitted and discharged. And nothing na wo me ya jawo so
nipa do na person mo ti ase nya mo brofo na ye kan
Matia sentina ntina me ya na me never for mo twi mu
acquitted and
discharged. And
ordinarily nipa on na mabonte ase cheze.
Okay, ntia no ase say ye jawo krakra se fa ho kodi
asem ni
na saa asem kro no anya ti mo okwa adu ho biem enti ochina attorney general nti me nko high court nko ka say okay magada new evidence me the asem na ba me be prosecute Ato Forson biem because me konya evidence A B C D B na en earlier one to basa ne ba court biem na same facts no emfa.
Okay, mo nhihye mu no Ghana nhihye mran nhihye mu no
Yeah.
Attorney general na kasa me so me bonyo so a o ba bi obetimi dia ko
On this ruling.
Yes.
Oh, and the ultimate court of sorry, Mr. Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court. Send the last and final of all the courts. Into ultimate court so I you never train the transfer. Justice Akabuafo, Bright Mensa, and I think Alex I've forgotten the third judge's name. Sorry, Bucky Bright Mensa and so come. You know, when me and saying a transfer to Supreme Court a 5.
aka we mu one
No.
say another panel
Different 5 will settle the matter. And I know enema mienu a see the ba could be see. Mostly they are either going to agree with the Court of Appeal or they will agree with the High Court. Also now the Court of Appeal has disagreed with the High Court. And then try and say e aborted your chum.
the High Court say am asem anu yi appeals court say there be assembly it is the final person say e
ko san ko Supreme Court emu san man mienu a see the emu ba ko pen ana be say repeating. Nothing different will happen.
interesting.
You either hear the 5, 3 or 4 of them, or unanimously all the 5 saying that if you are going to appeal, then it's correct.
So why were
Or
so question is now
Okay.
questions outside maybe with the legal advice.
Okay.
So why were at a point then you say na nipa ni bi ni mu kra e person mo yen hyehyɛ say oni person mo tua
Plea bargain. Okay, you say plea bargain there. And no yes sir, you find say bi anka woman court of appeal for to appeal against that no case submission. You find sir. Then what it means that the case is already going on because the High Court has said that they should open their defense, of which they have done so. But there are other mediums that we follow to get the matter settled. Obakaya, Abra Nyamano case is able to move a company now with the ambulance in the brain, a big scene. Eba can say, yeah, you're interested in some mansion. I was all you know. It's often a ambulance about who was sent to the own part. Yeah, and the young Cassian, you're turning down for battle. All right, 85 your brain. Now we see can also was from your mind so far 2.3 million euros. Yet your idea. But I was a woman to say, me, I mean, you go for them, and yan tias, say. Mim Pessican Moon chance of a do be better more.
Sana
Koye. If we say, oh man, any mum could be said or do we better moment chance over Pessican. No, come on, my main can be to have been to a court can be I will case me more. There are two here in the Commission of Police. Now, the Assembly Court can was a prosecution council is a representative of the state and a minister of justice. Obi a wo bokwadu. Wa ye oman ba no dani. Na wasan ya atentene ne so afo.
nti ukọ du bonum nyina no ese o kan so ya atentene.
We atentene ne so afo. And ko ba atentene ni mu no. Eni wasa biribiara wi no case. Meka ne wasa case in court na kan. Atentene ni nya ni mu bi ne se wa lose case. And it's justice ni bi.
Atentene.
Yes.
It cannot be always.
It can always be you. Anything I can approach justice no catch want to say. Yeah, anytime you give biased judgment, it becomes a threat to national security, and people take the law into their own hands. It's yeah, when you're careful. Some more time morning and chia that be a faco. Because ban sa Mr. Can of national security threat, but I form of national security threat. No say my crime my mouth forbid the ransom on some air the omape. So when if it's a Nigeria woman article. And today the court can was say it is not his function, that's Attorney General. It is not his function to obtain a conviction by all means.
Inti ebeye ti say the kwan bia so.
Enyo botai no no, enyo adwuma no.
The whole jina as a father for you nyina.
Name was say, but simply to put before the court the facts which comprises his case, and to make them perfectly intelligible. It would the say the bone crow court. Fadansia bra. Kabibia customer hono bra court wo na yentie. Na yetie wi a yan yerim de da no yade beto. Enye wadwuma no say me di twuma akwadwon de kwan bia so twum hia 20 years. O ma hene ehia 50 years imprisonment.
Okay, so obesa baso.
Okay.
Na MC enumu na attorney general ede krata beto abonten.
Okay.
Na ne krata mu na no peye hu se GB.
Aye o kan enra de yi krata de bono. Okay, I think okay, all right.
Na me pese o tie ni nsem no. Na wa hwe GB Forson se waka se kasa ni bi o kasa ye no. Ono susuye mu ni nhihye.
Entwa ye mangu say asa wa hampo. Yeah. As a news person we got picture.
Nti wa kire mu from point to point and I think me call in Ohara Shama na what On 30th July 2024, the Court of Appeal by a split 2-1 decision allowed an appeal against the ruling of the High Court, Accra, dated 30th March 2023, dismissing a submission of no case filed by the accused person and ordering them to open their defense. The Office of the Attorney General considers the decision of the Court of Appeal to be perverse in the quest for public accountability and the rule of law. The decision clearly is heavily against the weight of the cogent evidence led by the prosecution in substantiation of all the charges against the persons of trial. The relevant facts of the matter, as borne out by the undisputed evidence led so far, show that vehicles purporting to be ambulances were imported into the country in December 2024 in violation of the contract governing the transaction. Okay, so let me, I can skip there. The then Minister for Health, Ms. Sheriaite, had cautioned in writing against the importation of the vehicles into the country. There was thus no request by the Ministry of Health for the vehicles to be imported into the country or for the letters of credit which were the means of payment for the vehicles under contract to be established. With no request from the Ministry of Health or any authorization whatsoever, and at a time that the period for supply of the ambulances under the contract had even lapsed, the first accused, Ato Forson, by letters dated 7th and 14th August 2014, instructed the Bank of Ghana and the Controller and Accountant General to issue letters of credit for payment for the vehicles. The letters of credit were consequently established on 18th August 2024. Big C General Trading LLC, the suppliers of the vehicles based in Dubai, whose contract had no parliamentary approval, proceeded to ship the vehicles on receipt of the letters of credit. When the vehicles arrived, they were not of the kind specified in the contract. Further, apart from the absence of basic parts and equipment required for ambulance, the National Ambulance Service and the Ministry of Health noted serious defects with every material part of the vehicles. Such was the fundamental nature of the defect that a former Minister for Health, Dr. Alex Sigbefia, described the vehicles as ordinary vans, not fit for purpose. In point of fact, a report on the vehicles by the authorized dealers in Mercedes-Benz, commissioned by the Ministry of Health in 2015 to assess the vehicles, tendered in evidence by the prosecution, stated that the vehicles could not be converted into ambulances. The defects were so irredeemable that from the time the vehicles started arriving in December 2014 up to January 2017, when the erstwhile John Mahama administration left office, they could not be converted into ambulances. The Office of the Attorney General considers the decision of the Court of Appeal grossly unfair to the nation and inimical to the fight against impunity and abuse in public office. The office will promptly file an appeal in order to erase the effect of this erroneous decision of the Court of Appeal. So that's from the Attorney General, Office of the Attorney General.
You see,
and it's signed.
Godfrey, yeah, I want to know.
Attorney General.
What the impunity and abuse of public officer, and no business say, what to make a defendant I will prosecute him. So one court into court.
Let's deal with what the Ghana
That is impunity.
Let's deal with what the Ghana Bar Association says.
I mean, you can't even say
the
this.
other details. The content of this letter.
Exactly. You can't even say that. You can't even say that, Cobra. You can't say these things. What is impunity here?
Say, Osha dance ya abeto Ghana edo manimia. Ono di ohunu say we dey eyade a.
Nya botera me kan no dance ni bi jira we. Nipa od ne ko bo ko adi ba ko na dance mu. Ene ono aboko kwadi mama eno.
Health Minister
Former.
Okay.
Tie no. My loss. We make for paragraph 67.
Yeah.
Or say Mr. Adwamenu testified about the letter from the Attorney General advising the Ministry of Health about the Big C intention to sue the ministry's response and the ministry's response. He also testified about the post-delivery inspection of the ambulances and the written report, which indicated that medical equipment ought to have been in the ambulances, were not in them. Medical equipment and take one ambulance as the time ambulance and buy. But he also considered that the equipments later were shipped to Ghana. Say equipment na name na go for them any abre when I work on. It was later shipped to Ghana. Why go my man na kasa. Na tie bi mo was say he were later shipped to Ghana and at the Temaport. Now say I can say at Temaport. Na tie hu nkombo wo ho. Was say but said they were not cleared. Yen clear animal medical equipment ye jaw Temaport yen clear because according to him the ministry didn't have funds to do so. Was it sorry Marshal. What do men say? Abayin ni sika odi be yi enema na free Temaport wonti equipment say ye be ambulance me na ya ambulance ye jaw Temaport na ni asem paragraph 60 now of the judgment.
Please let me check.
Jena kan what's what so one gaza kan kakra bi o ase ya kan loud.
Oh really?
Come that mean really kind of loud no muntie no hu say dem kan me wa.
Na de waka.
Me kan wa siso. Come siso.
Oh really na meka?
Anya really siso. O kan say.
So he also considered that the equipment later were shipped to Ghana. So that what was lacking in the
ambulance ya ship it to Ghana.
And at Temaport.
Temaport.
But said they were not clear.
Yeah, clear.
Because
if you say
according to him
or no Adwamenu say
the ministry did not have
Ministry of Health any sika on be in the report because Temaport media. O kan kwala asem say kobra.
Anyan kwala the situation that he
yes he was in one situation. See one situation. Minimum so of me man can man. Me ma won kan bi man.
Una unsoma.
Me ma won kan.
De na AC sa.
Jai. Me ma we wo fa minimum. Me man kan bi man da. Minimum sa pemo.
Intimi refuse.
Una ya na ga we kwa kan sa so aka.
Oh, Radija go. We are bobo.
Not about media. And I come around here.
No, it doesn't even come in. What buying ne was.
What buying ne was so.
Unless say ebi ana etrimpo say. Unless ebi ana etrimpo say ade amodi aba no. Eye substandard into engine.
No. That's not his case. And in the case no. Was in man na mai but ababedru port I am pabedru. And we put my port obviously ye this guy ye dey clear every port.
Yeah.
Come on. Abayin kra ni maba we here sika so dey be.
Yeah. Oh, but say BSc just 1 month back.
Abayin.
Yeah, 1 month back.
Ani otimfo ne man ani otimfo dey na abso na was.
America na.
So enu na no say dey be. Am say it was a sen wo ye ka. Na wo otifi na wutie na so wo hwe ye. O say it makes me look like as a leadership no wo mun mini nti omotifu.
Okay, so your friends here na enko try ho mulambra. And one say lawyer Chum very modest. The legalities, by the other side of the politics of what is happening. And then we look at the 10 o'clock. They are buying pound to a man sing cratchy for. Yakoba, ever 12 commoners. You know, I must say 12 commoners was my main cow say, Badwam, rapport up, and there's a lot of your text messages about Palgrave, and as a Senko Bidge and name and a name there by it here as we speak.
Oba.
Oba. So, Oba say.
Oba say.
Wa meet you one-on-one into I when you one-on-one.
Oh, paragraph back. Oh, and you one-on-one your chief when for. Paragraph na cross over. Yeah, chair. No so
Spanish garlic mixture out of the capsules would just so Mr. Yenko Pibini and to garlic mixture no dear say we will be a weapon waposio ya afi we will be so shan kromo ma at that time of the month ukon feature will be a tonka afi udwari na honam no ekekao ana afi odun so brano brand tempa 2 minutes bi akwadun so ha adwene yi pesichi yare anamojabo so ono hwe na one the Spanish garlic e free what about e me check garlic mixture no na afi the capsules no so no aboa momoja net media fu san yi na afi amotimi we mfifi nyoma just like that na afi wakoma no so aye ho adwuma na bribiada waya abofra enti upe bia to Hallow Herbal Lokanshi Drug Lane Tinated Herbal Repash Herbal Widema Herbal Ashama Ekus Pharmacy House of Drugs Jukat Pharmacy Wakaso Dependable Herbal Madina and Nolinko Herbal Hohoi and Albert Samus Ho and afi pharmacy and herbal shops ahodo nyina abanye bia to for 0266114111 0266114111 wetimni edinkita ho kama mama sanka o say na me aduma eye efiada enya na ochu efiada fiada da anim na ochu Friday sim no sectorial debate no ye the san kon bebro is on education sharing so it's on education inti ewo Accra Digital Center. Yeah, this and common with free hall.
Are they one of
yes, Mahama Hall.
Yeah. I want to say Mahama Hall as we. Accra Digital Center, the same do
a course Pure Gabra Hall.
Yeah.
You were Esla
Manibua Hall.
Manibua. Yeah. Next time I say we call Esla Osu Hall.
That be Mufri Mama Hall no. Mumra spill the answer number film Manibua Manso. In fact, Munko Manibua Madias and then Munko spill the answer.
I've no trace they say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. So ukujina kota wadaroma. Me ba ho be kire se dey bia.
Oh, I had him to meet the man. So had him.
Lawyer Chubeba Adam the one is here edi nkomo an za cabinet edu emienu na yepeja emo and
sa. Oh, obanye 15 minutes na aka. Ana time wote so.
Oh, maintain so. Wadaroma. Watch na boss.
19.
Hey, they say the whole show watch.
Tuning na 19.
912.
Answer 19 sir. Do the other.
Okay, so I think we'll wrap up on these legalities and how they
okay,
all right.
The second one, yes, I will say now Attorney General if I get my money, we can't be the questions because paragraph 70. I say on the same letters of credit now, Ato Forson was signing ya and ye boni duamu. Na the question back we be say. We said Mamenu also said LC is not a payment guarantee. Okay, Mamini can say Mamenu also testified about the letters of August 7th and then August 14th, August 12, 2014 by the appellant or the first appellant, which is Ato Forson, to request for the LC. I note that he initially said the LC was requested without the notice of the Ministry of Health. But when he was confronted later about it under cross-examination, he accepted that his initial position was wrong. Mr. Admamenu also said that the LC is not a payment. It's not a payment by a guarantee. Again, the following snippet of the discourse was set out. And the question which I know, I say, and you have also served as chairman of the Public Accounts Committee in Parliament. Is that correct? Nyansan said that is correct. And so you have quite a working understanding of how LCs operate. Is that correct? I said, yes, I do. And the person said, and are you aware, or you are not, that LC are not payments in themselves, but are guarantees of promise of payment subject to certain conditions being met? Is that not so? And I responded, that is so. It's not necessarily more letters of creditor. And yes, my triaka. I had done say. I be academic. I will be never triaka. But you be triaka on certain conditions, and those conditions, and you have to force in the berry. And you could take on the berry. So, if the Ministry of Finance requests for the Bank of Ghana to establish an LC, that does not mean that the Bank of Ghana should make payment under the LC. And also, it means that the finance is authorizing Bank of Ghana to make payments on certain conditions. And at my main one, no. Was say LC said Bank of Ghana make PSC on certain conditions that they have met. Finally, the last question you say, and of course, if those conditions are not met, question is no, then the payment should not be made under the LC. Is that not the case? And the answer said that is the case. It is a maybe in Korea. And you be so I will be a toilet and moon and you want to connect with you. And then finally, on about agency, Ato Forson no need authorization to sign say LC. Oh my, so what kind of sign what I'm as trying to say? Me, make it say Ato Forson so no authorization. But when I was only. So now the burden is on you now. Was only so what the advance here said now we need authorization. It won't matter Dami, oh yeah. The idea about me approve say case now they want to do say what they set up as all dancing. Now set up by the answer ma say I'm passing my authorization. Oh, so me come back. Someone do for na. And Ato Forson moment they set up by it. And set up by the answer say I'm permanent my authorization no try to come here me still. So that defeat your case.
Because Majiatum.
Me
na me minister.
Me na me minister. And a letter I signed for the minister.
No only copy.
One any copy.
Dami.
What was that? No ni ango so obi ni authorization. Oh. Me say we ka uhia be 2 hours na ka do we ka no be come A to Z. Na ka be hu so.
Okay, so join us and sign a wrap up. Maybe one or two other questions. 0302 211
na me ka so be ka MMD
equals 4 0302 211 equals 4. Now come ID so far or adwenchibo how they are. Of course, wakura and a mensin cratch no. Unyame ayen Adom obenya awiabo e de akọ na ekwan bi a atoto sini for the time being no otimi de adwiri su kakra ma I mo trouble ama nipa nyina fa 10 o'clock mensin cratch for ahodo nyina no aba bihia e won kra ha mo kodi sa adwuma no do bi atam na fidi e de akọ ne mpeso aso.
I think a canon in the 90s no na ye war school no na wom ko han bi and the debate say but I remember very well when President Mills came to power. Or acquire sign my movie at the assemblies do under President Mills. Unfortunately, they couldn't maintain them. So they can't go business in this. And now you another option, and I say another chance be more yes, I'm after President Mills, President Mills and Muhammad. Yes, some more or other equipments even in addition to the water. Yes, sir. Your maintenance culture. You was ban this Ghana the maintenance culture and the man net when I say to knew the big overcono. Na say video way nyina. Baba. Video way nyina o. Na esiwo I skeleton I showcase na nsi otobo no. And so man scan the koto.
Ye nyina break minute back na sambra. Match me ni apom ti say. Match apom ti say.
Mini a omahene mini abununi na won tete
oh nyame adu bibia e boko
ye dawade ase me tia me senior nso omahene nema bi wo ho ma dwen che kakra bi e wo Pacho
tie o
na me di kan tia me senior na nema bi wo ho a me gidi se oman ne se pese ekoye ni ma e wo se itimi de na nsie e toda the bubaka se common man on the street. Mejidi said Niama Yakosuni and I quite say Anayama, a political, we are being clouded by a political, Muslim missing can I see a politics, a fire being the movie, be a near on mine puntu at all. Now, man, is the ometo so be a Korea, Elko Road, and no TV. Nay, I tell no kita TV no. Near you TV amount, and then say criminal prosecution to our corona. What is TV no one pay? Oh my, now your mama papa. You have TV about them. No be a Korea. Na nipa no Korea odi jana no. Nipa na comfort. Ni ese. O TV ni etimi yen saka. En say yen yevi. Ti o TV no ko bodam na he. Na yen fa nipa no ma police for. Na kro no na nke ni so wura udam ko fa wa wura na o man ni no. What is TV no menye den. Yen fa nipa no nkoto prison. Now TV no so income. That doesn't make sense.
Okay. Okay. Oh, mom, when me we na so no.
I'm the coordinator.
Coordinator. We the fache. Nana Machi apom to say. Hello, Nana Machi apom to say. Yeah, Nana so man so onti. So let's try to wrap up on this day.
Yeah, and when the Americans say, "Eh, say na umbenya," because I can't be one more. Kwabra yengu su ko tampo. Na ye twaso yie, na da so ma ya wota so ma say bi mfuturo ni so ayekum microphone so a mfuturo ma yare. Na ye tena wota so na bia wo nam so anye gungun but at least quite motorable smooth kakra. Eh, chense.
Okay, Atakra Martin.
Okay.
Benjamin Martin.
Me too, so mine, I want to say.
Oh, Nyame Adom.
You, I said my lawyer to me, you know, make you say a bit more in the curriculum. And when I was saying she and say more, I was saying, oh, the John to myself to boss now to me, send a bear and run into me and wash us, yeah, and I said, be beside it's my joint.
Okay, yeah, that's a P. So, OPK, Gosso. OPK, Gosso. Hey, me Chrome Capital. My mencha goes to my. Okay. OPK Diana.
OPK goes.
Okay, goes.
For PPR for communication. Goes.
But wait you.
O man, my mencha now more about what you now here. Yeah, they can say. The ambulance trial case, you know. It is who say and tell Mata. Obia should share a yes, the ambulance require unfit for purpose. Parliament require they approve. Not that ambulance is unfit for purpose. Not that also financial loss to the state. Not the judges two against one say I go in favor of Honorable Japa and Honorable Ato Forson. Meaning you say it is a Attorney General so that SU case to Supreme Court. Even the Uncle Supreme Court because yes, trouble be among Ghana.
Obike unim the mama juma here then say ufa emotions me boss na me pay
emotions in the enquiry
to make my way ba ko court dem dia
enquiry yeah camera someone any one ma sama since now judgment no more try cobra
so for me do be chat to na we have back but court the radio TV show and some different so mama na ko there
Adumara ko my papa
oh yeah that we ask pa be suma feel pa
oh my no question ambulance in the Ghana for your fiasco oh my I think when they can the hope is some careers in Bob they were to force them. Necessary can be quite a bit the ama buying no punk with me. It is so much of a court and if it's ever no macani to can often want to total could save you so no courier board their banchia. Oh my family and call concern. If you ever say in penny phones, as some people in India and on your shape, but when you know no need in the moment, the baby can credit the infant to share. Oh, my near to 3 years in the best in penny phone, so that the man one over friends to nothing.
Okay, so that's it of mommy. Lawyer, wrap up for us. Now, me for we send chat to be. Okay. Oko quarter. Ubitime fua koke wiem.
Ubitime su grandma dey.
But the teze.
Your emotions doesn't make anything there.
Yeah. And I judge for no so. No one must ma beka. I dance here the beba. I no more so ejina extra want to buy the amount. Nti ye be yere the pampe court nkomo different from ye ti ha e bia entina esese ti ase ansana. Ni ye bosu ye the court. Wadaroma.
O ma me that's but what can say yenhwe ne ye. Yenhwe asem. Omo afre ye attention the last 2 or so. Their bid is that oh, a kabiaba ana yama sika na shegu.
Yeah.
But Murafi said, Attorney General an opportunity to receive the money back. Big C for one catcher Ghana said, Yenimuni Master, some year at time, I want to what I want to
move is a scene to be
Mom Paddy and a month for your mammy.
In Chaka.
Nancy from
Francis saying go in Chaka.
Attorney General, I'm an young Corsican over dinner back and so. The interest yes will be a sign letter and so signing. Meanwhile, dancing so one's interest will be a sign letter and so signing from the judgment. From the government, I can't do a hatcher one. The BNU or say, what you prove say, Ato Forson a sign letter and so sign it. What you prove a court? So let's stop these emotional things. And what if attending the enemy so will be a bomb car? That's on your opportunity to get the money back. Me, no, I'll go for the money than to waste our time in court. Or waste your money in your time.
Okay.
Oh, court.
So wrap up for us
on the MMDAs.
There be electoral commission for exercise. So
some say mop-up registration.
Yeah.
I want to come up in one case and some tune.
Oh, send your mop up the other. It will party for our market. That is catch up. That will be our want some car. Yeah, mop up. I say, well, when you're going to Massa first rectify. Last day said, so Miss Idea, I was a man getting I was at me. No, I was a man. It's appealing to your party. Oh, you must be what the watching. And yeah, na last minute. We should want what the 18 question minute. In fact, we can work. Madam Fubi, one zone D was one zone D. Na maybe me was we better than something. What me say no. My papa we I was prompting my on so to be question. Do I want to answer there? Be a bibi TV and what to kwan be na we be na yare. Bibi na see to do ya. I think about 2-3 days be ever that for this window. But what they na use na control di na ebra no so. Fakukudro ni ahoden kwasala na October Dramani Mahama na omedi nkunim omedi oman nanim fa yanko ba bi etene enayi Afro barometer for say enipa ohamo nchichemo adu okro 90% of Ghanaians ajeto say ba yi oman nani tire no ye kire sumu aye kro yinmu kwan la chumpacho
entino ye ba bo man mo man na gina yi ni say wo to abade Dramani Mahama na obi ye free sumu kwan no so ye besi han
la chumpacho
na yakọ anim and no me yesere Ghana fo nyina inguni kwabra sante a o yo man
me hede compressor
na yasere so no so October Dramani Mahama nya bi so wi a
o ya be Adom echina ebi but o ne fro lo achum no
me no
e bi si